Yo, what is cracking, hungry people? It's your boy, Michael Patrick Buckley, back on the Hungry People podcast here. I feel like I always start off talking about the weather, but I mean, really, it is actually beautiful today here in Pittsburgh. Um, it's always freezing in my house, regardless. So I'm usually always like wearing a hoodie. Like I'm not kidding. Even if it's like 80 degrees out in the summertime or 90, sometimes okay, maybe not 90, but like 80. Like sometimes I'm even wearing a hoodie just because it's always cold near. But it's all good. Uh, but yeah, beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. So there's your weather update from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today on November 4th. So guys, on last week's episode, I like recapping last week. It talks about water. And should you drink plain water? I think I had a pretty good discussion around that with myself. And I think it went pretty well. There's still a lot of stuff that I left out and didn't mention on that. So you know what that means. I guess you got to come back and talk more about water, um, which it's always fun to talk about. I mean, I love talking about it. If you like listening, that's great and means a lot to me. So now on today's episode, I wanted to discuss a reel that the Proof had. Now the Proof is Simon Hill. He has his own podcast, big plant-based guy. He's big into science, all over social media. His account is The Proof. I started following him back, not when I first went vegan, but probably about a year and a half in. And I'm just really interested in what he has to say. He has a lot of cool stuff on here. But matter of fact, this is actually something that I really want to start getting into more, whether it's in podcast format or not, but it's actually doing like response videos to what people are saying and just giving my thoughts and opinions on it. And I think it's really cool, actually. I like when other people do it, and I kind of want to do it myself. And I feel like I can definitely offer some good insights to some regard. So yeah, I wanted to start doing that more. AJ and we actually did it in the past with a few episodes. We did it with the raw food debate. We did it talking about Don Bennett and his 15 reasons why people fail on a raw vegan diet. Do we do any more? I think just those three episodes. We did part 1 and part 2 of the raw food debate one. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's fun, and I do want to start doing it now. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to play the reel, and you should be able to hear it through the microphone here. And then I'm just going to pretty much do a response to that and just talk about it, have a little discussion about it. Should be pretty short and sweet today. I don't want to keep you too long. I mean, you know me though. I can sit here and talk all day. So, yeah. But anyways, here we go. I'm gonna play the reel. I hope that you can hear it, and I think actually, they talk about it on the podcast. I'm not sure what episode it was, but anyways, here it is.
Studies have shown, and give a lot of credit to Daniela Jacobowitz and Oren Froy in Israel. They did some really elegant studies in the last decade where they brought people in to their clinic and they'd test what would happen if you ate a large breakfast, medium-sized lunch, and small dinner, or eat the same meals in the opposite order. And they found that if you front load calories early in the day, you actually reduce mean 24-hour blood sugar levels. You actually make blood sugar levels lower just by timing more of that caloric intake to the kind of sweet spot during the day when your blood sugar metabolism is at its highest.
Okay, so you heard that. This girl's pretty smart, pretty intelligent. I'm actually gonna see if they said anything on the caption here, because the caption usually has some pretty good stuff too. How important is it? How important is this important for everyone? Wait a second, Simon. That's what's the word? Super. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. Not superlative. Superfluous. Superfluous. It means that there was what you pretty much saying the same thing twice. I think so, right? Let me actually, you know what? I'm gonna look it up because superfluous. Um, being beyond what is required, more than is warranted, an interval that exceeds a major or imperfect interval, whatever. Um, and excessive. It's basically like rendering unnecessary use of words. And I think what he said there was superfluous. But anyways, um, uh, but he says, well, to be honest, not really important for someone who's metabolically healthy. At least we have no evidence to suggest it is. Almost all of these studies showing improved blood glucose control with earlier meal timing are looking at people with pre-diabetes or diabetes. So that's one that they don't say in the real. And it's really cool hearing that he says that. So it's for people who have diabetes or pre-diabetes. If you front load your calories earlier in the day, you have a bigger breakfast, smaller, a medium lunch, and then a smaller dinner, you're going to have better blood sugar control. And then he says if your HbA1c, fasting VG, liver function, etc., are in good order, then this is probably one of those things you can do, but by no means need to stress over. If you have prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, then adopting time restricted eating with that window starting earlier in the day, 8 to 4, could be a very helpful tool for you to promote better blood glucose regulation. Now, I'm really happy that I read that because I didn't beforehand when I watched it yesterday. And now it's more specific to people with diabetes. But I'm sure at the end of the day, if we're being real, I'm sure everyone can learn from that and realize, oh, okay, well, yeah, that just kind of everyone may or should have better blood sugar control if they do something like that, right? Now, what if you're only getting 3 hours of sleep? It doesn't really matter. Your blood sugar is going to be all whacked out anyways if you get little sleep and you still have a big breakfast in the morning, even though that may help you, right? And it may be beneficial. But yeah, so eating a big breakfast in the morning, I think it's good. And there actually have been times when I'm not kidding, even over the past 2 years, where I would get up. Let's say I got up early and I would eat at just early, like 6 or 7 a.m. Maybe not 6, like 6:37. And I'd eat like 1,000 calories and I put it down. And sometimes, like when I was doing that, it would legit feel like I didn't even eat anything and I would just go about my day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this forever. And like, this is the best, and I don't know, stuff changes and this and that. But I mean, I've definitely noticed good benefits of eating a big breakfast. See, my thing with the whole meal timing stuff, because that's what really what it's more focused on here is the meal timing, is that it just really all depends on your activity levels. That's really where it is for me. Like I mentioned on actually a previous podcast, one that I did recently. By the way, look at my hair. My hair's growing back fucking thick and fast as shit. I mentioned like, oh, like I'm not gonna get up in the morning and then have a huge meal and go work out and go to the gym. I feel like this is kind of something similar here. So you have to eat and you have to base your meals around your activity levels, or your activity, not your activity levels, but around your activity. That's kind of how I see it. That's kind of how I want to live my life. And that's how I would definitely suggest it for other people too, right? I mean, even on days where I'm doing nothing, which is more or less on like Sundays, I try to take a rest day, even though like sometimes I'll still go for a run or do stuff. I feel like on those rest days though, there's more of the days where I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'll just kind of just have fun with it, go with the flow. If I'm hungry, eat here, eat there, whatever, is what it is. But yeah, in how many times I've mentioned it on here, I can only imagine that this has something to do with it as well, is the insulin sensitivity. I've talked about how so many people are just they just preach and preach and preach. You're like, so you're most insulin sensitive in the morning, and you're most insulin resistant in the evening. So it would make sense that, okay, I would have a bigger, maybe not a bigger meal, but like a good meal in the morning, eat breakfast. I think it's good to do that. You don't have to fast for 20 hours a day and just drink energy drinks all day. Actually, they won't be fasting, but drink coffee on an empty stomach. Uh, so cool. Your blood sugar is going to be great, or hopefully it's going to be good in the morning, and you have a good breakfast, and your body utilizes those sugars, and you have that fuel and energy for your day, right? And then comes lunch. I actually can sort of agree with like a medium-sized lunch. Matter of fact, I have a story here. When I played baseball in college, and it was it was like we were in the middle of a season. What I would do is I would get up, I would go eat like pretty much legit eat a huge breakfast because you kind of had to, and then we would go play 2 baseball games. So you're pretty much down at the field for. I mean, you could get there at 10 o'clock sometimes, and you don't leave till 5 or 6. And usually within those 8 hours, I only had, maybe some fruit or granola bar or chips or cookies or whatever pretty much they brought for us. Sandwiches, like when I wasn't vegan, I would eat sandwiches. And then they had like PB&J too, Uncrustables. And I always noticed that during the season, like it looked like my jawline would get like more toned up, and I always got like relatively leaner in the season, and then that's just like a product of the season too. Naturally, you are just gonna lose weight because you're not, number one, you're not strength training as hard and as much, and you're constantly moving. I mean, holy heck, we practice for 4 hours a day, and then we go hit on our own. We still go work out on our own. We're just constantly moving so much. So, I mean, you can only imagine, even if you're not playing and you're just on the bench, you still are, like, you're still drained after 8 hours at the baseball field. It's truly unbelievable. Uh, but yeah, so kind of like formulating a similar eating routine or eating schedule around like what I did then. That's like I kind of like, not that I want to go back to that, but I always like keep that in the back of my mind, big breakfast, kind of just like snack for lunch, and then have like a big dinner like that. Like I got pretty good results doing that, but that's the thing though, is like I was kind of forced to do that. I kind of had to do that. That's what it was. I didn't really have an option. And and my thing is like when you're active, like you don't want to, you shouldn't be eating like huge meals all the time, right? Just because your body is digesting, and you want to be having like to digest that food and then go work, like play a sport or run or work out. But like, yeah, like snacking and little stuff here and there helps. Matter of fact, I saw a tweet from Chad Johnson. I think he like somehow had a sign, and he like wrote something like, "Can you buy me a hot dog?" And he put it on Twitter a couple weeks ago. And this is like during a game, and he ended up saying that I think someone like did get him a hot dog, and he had the hot dog, and he said that like that hot dog was the reason why he was able to burn whoever he burned and score a touchdown or some shit. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Um, but yeah, so I kind of got off on a little tangent there. Back on it too, though. Yeah, so like a medium lunch is pretty good, and then we get to dinner, a small dinner though. Dude. So they're saying big breakfast, medium lunch, small dinner. That just ain't cut it. That just is not gonna fly in my world. I don't know. There's just something about uh dinner in the last part of the day where it's like soothing, and it's nice to eat a big, I don't want to say this is like crazy heavy meal, but like just to eat a meal and actually feel full and satisfied after eating. Not eating until you're ready to like throw up and puke, which I've done before. um but actually just feeling satisfied after you eat. And eating a small meal for dinner for me, there's just no way that I'm going to be satisfied with that. I just don't think so, at least. Although if I ate how they suggest to eat here, big, medium, small, like I feel like my results with my body and potentially athletically, I feel like I could get phenomenal, good results. But there's just something about eating a bigger meal, fulfilling, dense meal in the evening that it's nice too. And the thing is, I actually, matter of fact, uh, people or I actually was gonna take a class on sleep and I like started it and I just didn't get anywhere. Um, but if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just there's not like a source for this. Actually, I learned it from a guy on social media here, but you need like just as much, almost just as much fuel when you sleep as you need during the day. So if you have a small meal for dinner, you could potentially be having issues with your sleep and not sleeping full through the night because maybe you don't have enough energy to sleep, if that makes sense. Like you're not giving your body enough fuel and enough nourishment to like actually get you through the night. And you'll even hear like fruitarians and whatnot be like, oh, like I only need 4 hours of sleep. Like I go to bed and I can't fall asleep and I can't stay asleep. I have so much energy, and I just think like you're just stressing your body out. Cortisol, adrenaline running through, and that's like it's so high you can't sleep because you're not eating enough, and your body's not able to rest and recover. Uh, so yeah, I guess we'll have to come back to more on the sleep stuff, but yeah, I don't know, just like a small meal in the evening is just it's so tough, and I feel like that's really a time to like where you share a meal with other people and you can enjoy time with other people as well. And like, yeah, you can go out to dinner and go out to a restaurant and have a small meal. Like, yeah, cool, totally. But like when I go out, I want to try this. I want to try that. I want to like eat. I don't want to be like, oh, I just want to eat as much food as possible. But like, I want to get as much enjoyment out of that experience as I can. So I like doing that. I like eating bigger meals in the evening. And usually too, even today, actually, like it's 12:03 now. I'm gonna eat right after this, and then I probably won't eat again till dinner because I'm gonna eat enough food and I'm gonna be full and satisfied. Um, and that leaves like time, around 3, 4, or 5 o'clock. Like if I wanted to like go be active again, like cool, my food should be digested, not fully, but a good bit of it, right? And then I can go out and have fun and do my thing and enjoy myself, right? I don't have to be so like, oh man, like I'm full right now, right? Or I ate so much food, I gotta go run now, or I gotta go work out. Um, Although like some people they may benefit from that. They may benefit from cool, I can eat a big meal and go work out. But like I said earlier, like I've done that to where like I ate a big meal for breakfast and then like it felt like I didn't eat anything. So a big point that I wanted to make here today was that Simon, he's huge on science, right? And and what he says and what they're talking about is the studies. These studies say this, these studies say that. They say that, okay, you big meal for breakfast, medium lunch, smaller dinner, great blood sugar control, 24-hour blood sugar levels are great, phenomenal, blah, blah, blah. This is more for pre-diabetes, diabetics. I think for them specifically, it's good. Once again, though, we could all learn from it and utilize it. This is just a reminder, though, that like you got to do what's best for you. So like, yeah, they're saying this. Yeah, it sounds great and dandy, but like, what if that just doesn't work for you? Like, I have a friend, he does only eat like once a meal a day. He doesn't eat. He's like, I've never eaten breakfast before. I just don't do it. Ever since I was a little kid, I just don't. I've never done it once. So what about him? How does this study pertain to, or how does this pertain to him? Uh, I even met someone else. She didn't eat breakfast because I was like, oh, like how do you stay so lean? She's like, oh, I don't eat breakfast, or I usually just eat lunch and dinner. or like 12 and you eat at that time and then dinner or whatever. Um, but uh yeah. I think with that too, like a lot of that's just like kind of a calorie thing. If your calories are even throughout the day, it doesn't really matter what time you eat as long as it's good for you. In regards to like being lean. So yeah. But it's like, what if some people get up and they just don't want to eat and they feel good doing that, regardless if they're doing quote unquote damage to their thyroid or whatever. You know what? That's just like what they've always done. So I guess like that's like kind of the point that I want to make here is that you gotta fit it in what works best for you in your schedule, in your life, and eat accordingly to yourself. Be your own study. Like this stuff's really important. I'm really glad that I'm doing this right now and I'm able to see, okay, hey, this is cool. That's great to see, right? Now I can try to relate it to my life, but I can also like keep doing what I'm doing and uh experiment and do this and do that. Like, cool, maybe I will go back to doing a bigger breakfast and late lunch and big dinner though. Hey. um, so yeah, I think I got pretty much everything that I wanted to say today regarding this stuff. And that was fun. So I hope you enjoyed that. Um, yeah, it's good, man. It's good. I got to get some people on the podcast. The Hungry People podcast. There's some people that are out there that would love to get on here. I'm actually like kind of annoyed that like no one wants me on their podcast. Like, what the fuck, dude? Am I not cool enough? Am I not cool enough to be in your podcast, bro? Like, what? Or like your YouTube channel? You don't want to talk to me, bro. I'll be the best motherfucking guest on your podcast. I'll bring the most energy anyone's ever had on your podcast, and you're gonna want me to be your co-host because I don't know where mine is. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go out, enjoy my day. Great talking on here. Let's stay up. Why do I keep saying that? Let's stay up. No. No, 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 no. Let's get right to it. Stay up, be great. Always keep it 100.